song because then it won't let me play play it in the Facebook group to replay it. So the song was Brave by Sarah something. It's an incredible song about your self-expression, and when you allow your self-expression out, how brave that is and how freeing that is. I mean, when I first started listening to that song, I would cry over and over and over again because it's just a powerful song. It's called Brave. Sherry, do you know you have the album, you said. Do you know the last name? I don't know the last name. Sarah. Oh, I could probably look it up real quick. Bareilles. Bareilles. There you go. So incredible song. I love music. Is so healing. Music could be so incredibly healing in many, many ways, not just the words you hear, but the vibration it brings, the energy that it pulls to the surface. It's actually an incredible way to process emotions. So, but today is day 4 of our Unlock Your Manifestation Magic. I do have an incredible bonus for you guys tomorrow. And on Sunday, it will be aired in Facebook only. It will not be in the Zoom room. So you'll be able to watch it in the Facebook group, kissyourstrugglesgoodbye.com, if you're not in there. And if you don't follow Facebook at all, I do have a YouTube channel that I do stream it on, Brenda Kiss. I can't remember. I think it's brendakiss.youtube.com, I think. So, welcome. I want to just share, before we get into the content of today, I want to just acknowledge that you guys have did a lot of work this week. I don't know how much you realize you did. The impact of this week will have a ripple effect. And it's still just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's many layers to our being. But you learned tools to tune in. You learned processes to understand your energy and your emotions. You learned tools to release your emotions. And today, and you went through a beautiful process of unlocking your heart yesterday in the Rediscover Your Story. I believe unlocking your heart takes a lot of what we did, a lot more of what we did, and also a lot of forgiveness. To truly let yourself soar, to remember your divine connection, your God connection, your universal connection, whatever you believe, right? And so today is about really coming into a space of awareness of your energetics, of the language you speak, of the way you look at things, your perspective. All of this feeds into your ability to manifest. Right? So again, it's just that continuation of really becoming super aware of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're saying, how are you showing up, what are you choosing in the moment. We talked about choice yesterday. So we're going to just dive in. Today's a lot of information, so this is stuff for you to take and implement. I do want to start with sharing with you with a woman that I worked with. She came to me I was doing a 5-day challenge at the time. And I had some of this content, some other stuff. I am always shifting things around a bit, but she came very skeptical. She had been out of work for about 9 months, searching for a job. She had lost a lot in her life. She had been through all these different kinds of therapies. And when I brought up chakras, she thought I was this hippy-dippy woman. And she was like, how is this person ever going to help me? And she stuck with it. She showed up at everything for the 5 days at the time and became a client. She started working with me. And in just the 5 days, she said she saw more hope and more shift in her life than she had in the months of therapy that she was going to, maybe even the years of therapy. But what I find fascinating is 3 months of working through my Fear to Freedom program. She was searching for a job for 9 months. 3 months afterwards, guess what she found? What she was able to pull into her life. Not just any job, like her ideal job, her way. And then also the things that she's learned through this, she was able to it's in HR, so it's very, could be very stressful. So she learned all these different tools to manage her energy, because manifestation comes down to the vibration that you live in, the energy, the vibration that you live in. And so there's not this perfect magic bullet that you take or pill that you take and you're like, my life is going to be perfect from here on out because I think positive, blah, blah, blah. There's still going to be a random accident. There's still going to be people that come into your life. I had to wear my tiara tonight, girls. I found a way to put it on that was comfortable. Um, people coming into your life that maybe aren't the nicest. It's just life, just things. Just like I'm raising a teenager. That's kind of challenging different days of the week, right? And so it's like, okay, what are the tools that I get to use with myself, with my son, with my husband, to keep our energy open and in flow so that we can be communicating in a high frequency matter, right? I got 2 emails this week that my 15-year-old son is failing 2 classes. We've been in school for 6 weeks, 5 weeks. And my sophomore decided he doesn't want to do schoolwork, so he's failing 2 classes. So I didn't go to him and say, why are you failing 2 classes? I went and I said, there seems to be a pattern. Something isn't working for you. This was in text. He's at a soccer game. What can we do? What do we get to look at to help shift some things around for you? Right? Do you see how that might warrant a different response to why are you failing 2 classes? And do you see how that question would be a higher elevated conversation versus why are you what's wrong with you type of question. So we want to be able to learn to understand language, or the language we talk out loud, the language we talk in our mind, our body language. Am I on delay? Looks like it in our body language, and also the way we question ourselves. I believe I spoke yesterday about the reptilian brain, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that to help continuously shift perspective. But back to the woman that I worked with, I just feel it's so powerful sometimes and inspiring to listen to someone that has done the work, and has continuously have done the work. She showed up every day, everywhere. Not every day, we don't meet every day, but she showed up all the time. So I want to share with you how she was able to recognize her negative self-talk, recognize her low frequency energy, and shift it into a high frequency dialogue to attract the thing that she wanted to call into her life. Her name is Kaylee. She actually lives in New Jersey, but I didn't meet her in person. You see her and me in the orange? Her orange, me blue. Oh, I forgot to share the sound. Hold on. Kaylee's with me today, and today we're talking about stretching yourself beyond what you think you can do, stretching yourself beyond what you think your possibilities are, and really opening up your perspective to what you get to step into. And we've had a great week talking about your emotions, talking about tuning in, talking about re-identifying yourself and your self-talk. And Kaylee came to me actually about a year ago, maybe just not quite a year ago, right? And went through something similar to this, a little bit different. And I know that she stretched herself. She stretched herself in showing up. She stretched herself in participating and putting herself out there and taking the leaps of faith. And so welcome, Kaylee. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. First, thank you for coming on today. I really, really appreciate you and your time. And I've loved watching you grow over this past year. And I would just, want to ask you is how has stretching yourself this past year, with showing up for the 4-day mini course and then stretching yourself to invest in Fear to Freedom, and then stretching yourself in the course. How has that helped you?
It's helped me in so many ways. Um, I think the scariest thing, I think, when we're going through a lot of stuff is letting go or giving up control. And it's amazing that once you give up the control and be open to a new way of thinking, how much control that actually gives you. Right? Kind of felt trapped. And so I felt like I'd tried everything, done everything, and I felt trapped in my own life. Like I couldn't get better. I use this metaphor. I'm really thirsty. Like the glass of water is when the arms reach, and I literally can't will myself to pick it up. Which sounds crazy, but literally that's where I was. So where it's helped me now is I have this set of tools that gives me permission to be freer. I've taken on a new job in the last 9 months. It's an incredibly stressful job. And as much as that's stressful, it's in its place. And I've never felt better. I've been in these kinds of jobs before where I can't sleep, I can't eat, I'm stressed all the time. I've literally learned how to find that balance I was always looking for. So it doesn't mean I don't have stressful days, don't have bad days, but my self-talk is more positive. I stopped putting those rules on myself. I give myself a break. And it took me almost, I'm almost 50 years old to get to that point. And I feel like a new person. I just feel lighter. I feel more capable. And even though things are stressful, that doesn't define me anymore. That's just a thing I deal with. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes sense for sure.
But that's where I am. I feel so much lighter, and I have these positive discussions with myself because I have something really big going on, and it's kind of a sad thing. At the same time, it's like, but I literally get to do this. And I couldn't have dreamt I'd even be in the situation to have this problem. So in context, it's still a really good thing. And I didn't know I could feel that way.
Right.
So I feel so much lighter and so much more capable. I also know what my limits are, and I know how to set boundaries. I didn't know the word boundaries a year ago. Obviously we know the word, but I didn't know it in that context. And now I know how to manage my happiness. I know how to keep peace for myself. And I allow that to be so. I stopped doing for everybody else at my own expense, and I found a way to still do that now, but take care of myself first.
Yes, and then showing up for others is completely a different experience, right?
Right. It's not this frenetic stress thing. I took care of myself, and now I can be supportive. I think I used the analogy with you before. It's like when you're on the airplane. They say, put your mask on first and then you can help others. I feel like I'm there now. Like that's what I've done. And I continue doing work on. I've put my own oxygen mask on and now I can help others. But I don't have to help others, and I don't have to do it at my own expense or the way I used to.
It's a beautiful thing. So I want to take us back to a year ago when you went through a 4-day course or challenge or something, or maybe it was 5 days or what, I don't quite remember. But I know that you had some thoughts around Fear to Freedom, and you were a little bit skeptical.
And totally skeptical.
And completely honest. Can you just share part of your skepticism? I think that's really important, because even though you had this skepticism, you still stretched yourself. You still gave yourself permission to be curious. So
yeah, and at the risk of offending you, because I was very honest with you, I said this feels like happy horseshit, like incense burning hippie things, and like we're talking about chakras. I'm like, really? And like third eyes are going to come out of this, and I'm like, there's just no way. I'm very type A. I'm very, I'm very skeptical. And what allowed me to consider this is, after a few days, it was one of those 4 or 5 day challenge things. For the first time in any time that I could actually remember, I had hope, and I'd forgotten what it felt like to be hopeful. I'm gonna cry. Hopeful about the future, like what could happen. So I joke about it, but like that's where I was. I was not in a good place. I'd come off like I was still going through a whole lot of things that happened at once. I'm like, my life was like 10 country songs, the old kind, not the fun new kind. It was like 10 country songs rolled into one. And I had no energy to even think about what could be. I was living in my own mess mentally, and I didn't have any hope. So, like, well, I got to the point, like, what do I have to lose? So, you gave me hope. And even after a couple days, and it was like, a couple of hours of time, you gave me a hope that I don't know that I've had, even as a child. And I had to part my own judgment aside for a minute, recognize humbly, I don't know everything. And maybe I could learn something from this. Maybe not everything. Maybe I don't believe everything. But I allowed myself to let's see what happens.
And having that hope and stretching yourself, because I know we talked and then you were like, you know what, I can't do this, and then I said, I don't remember the exact conversation, and then I said, let's reconnect in a day. I told you to do something or think or
you did. You gave me an exercise to do, and something clicked that said I just have to give this up to possibilities. I have to stop trying to. I'm in a bad place. I didn't determine how I got here, but I'm not going to get out of it unless I shift the dynamic. And I've never been one to be like, I'm a victim, I'm a survivor, or any of this other stuff. Those things make me very, very uncomfortable. And I do want to be in control, but I had gotten to the point where I felt so out of control that I needed to control more to keep bad things from happening. So I really had to do the complete opposite and be open and just see what happens. And that's very vulnerable, especially for someone like me. It made me feel very vulnerable, but it was the best decision I ever made for myself. Wow. I stand by that. Awesome. I can't believe that I'm here today, a year later. I can't believe it.
Yeah. And I mean,
doesn't mean I'm perfect. Not every day's perfect, but I am a new and improved version of myself that I couldn't have seen.
That's amazing. Oh, it touches my heart so much.
I know it's hard for me to talk about. I'm getting choked up, but I'm so grateful. I really am.
Yeah. And I always say our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings dictate our reality. It dictates what shows up in our life. And I know when we met, you were searching and searching and searching for a job and trying to find your way and all of that. And just a few months of doing some inner work, you landed a job that you're enjoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. I'm back doing the work that I love, and they agree. Back doing the work that I love, and it's very, very fulfilling in a way that even my work wasn't before. So I'm part of that. The place I am, they recognize things in me that I always knew were in me, but other people couldn't see. So I'm definitely freer and lighter, even though I have a lot of responsibility. And I've dealt with all the other stuff that was all happening. It was just a confluence of events. And I got to the point where I just was struggling to find the strength to keep going.
And somebody that's listening today that's on the fence of filling out an application or booking a call to become part of Fear of Freedom, what would you say to them?
Just, you don't even have to have an open mind, just have an open heart. Like, what do you want? What do you want to be different? How do you, if you could write out who you are a year from now, like me, what would that be? So you don't have to think about that. What does your heart want for you or your family? Because you really have to help yourself first. And if that's a very different picture from where you are today, then I'd say schedule a conversation and just see what the possibilities are.
So Kaylee has a lot of wonderful things happening in her life by really working on the tools that we have. Oops, I lost you. There you are, really working on the tools that we have. And I just want to ask, drop in the chat, what were your takeaways from her? Because I feel like she gave so many wonderful golden nuggets that are powerful if you actually listen to what she said. I'll share some of my points of view after I see some of yours. Trust your heart. Yeah. Logically, it didn't make sense in her brain, right? Like signing up and being in this class did not make sense. She was skeptical. But she trusted her heart. There's a big one, she said. I'm just curious if you are picking up on it. If you picked up on it. Let go of limiting thoughts. She said she wanted more control, but she ended up having to do the opposite and do what? Let go of control. Surrender. Yeah. So many times when we are looking to manifest or looking just to feel better in life, we feel like we have to control everything. That's where addictions come in, eating disorders, drugs, whatever. You have like control over that. Or at least you feel like you do. You really don't. It has control over you. But it gives you that ability. So when she was coming into this program, she had to step back and let go, surrender, fully trust her heart and be open. She said you don't even have to be an open mind, just an open heart, right? So as she shared all of this, interesting, that's my notes. Okay, as she shared all of this, we're going to start in with, I just want to share, I do want to share one more story about listening to your heart. And I know did I share this here? Did I share the story around where someone left her job, her professional job, to be in a relationship with somebody else? I didn't share this. So I just shared it this week with somebody, I don't remember where. But, you know, listening to our heart isn't always the easy choice, right? The ego wants you to be comfortable inside the box. And so when you start to get present and you start to become aware of things and you start to tune in, you can hear your guidance from yourself. It gets louder and louder and louder, but when we cover it up and we think what we need to do, and we use our head and we use logic, we're covering up what the heart really wants. So this girl was a GM of a restaurant. She made about $150,000 a year plus her bonuses. So it was a really nice job, and she had no children, and so she was living a really beautiful life. And she was the GM, and she ended up falling in love with one of the staff members. And in that business, that was against their when they have rules, what's that called? Code of conduct? I don't know, whatever it is. She wasn't allowed to date any employees. And so she came to a decision. She did not believe in breaking rules and doing something behind the back. That wasn't part of her moral makeup. So she decided that her heart was calling her, and she left her job. She left the stability of her job. She left the income of her job to date this person. And she had an incredible relationship with this person for 4 months. And then the person left her. 6 months later, that person married somebody else. And a lot of people will say, gosh, she really made the wrong decision. But in that process, that's right, Denise, in that process, she learned stuff about her, stuff about relationships, her communication that she had not known. And she also, by listening to her heart, ended up having a spiritual awakening, connected back to her spiritual gifts, became a healer, a practitioner, stepped back into her creativity, started selling her artwork. Like, even though the relationship, which is where the heart brought her, right? But it was just a pathway to get where she needed to go. And she always wanted to move across the country, live in California. She actually landed in Las Vegas, which is a 40-minute plane ride for California. And about 4 years later, 4 years later, she's now engaged to the love of her life. in the town, in the city, in the energy of where she wants to work, and she's living her best life ever. That wasn't an easy decision to do. But when you start to realize and listen to your heart, that's where the miracles happen. That's where the miracles get to that's where the miracles happen. So I know all of you know me. I'm just going to repeat who I am because someone on Facebook could be watching this. So my name's Brenda Kiss, and I've helped thousands and thousands of women really reconnect back to their heart so that they can manifest their dreams, so that they can truly love the life that they live by releasing doubt, negativity, overwhelm, and stress to fully open up to their most authentic expression in this world. That is my mission. That's what I love to do, and that's what I do when I work with women. So what we want to look at right now is look at 3 areas of your life. And here's what I want you to know. You went through major work this week. You've had breakthroughs. Know that these are the tip of the iceberg. There's a continuous learning process. I couldn't possibly squeeze everything I teach in a 6-month program in 4 days, right? I'm giving you as much as I can, I promise. As much, and I could give more, but you wouldn't absorb it, so it doesn't matter, right? We can only take in as much as we can at a certain point. So just ask yourself, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to just really feel into this for a moment, is where are you? You know, there are people that I work with that have crazy amount of change, and the reason that happens is because they made the decision we talked about yesterday, but they had the courage to make the decision, right? At one point, they were a wisher and a hoper. I hope this works. I hope I can read this book. I hope I can take this diet pill. I hope this works, right? Just this little thing. Just give me the little trick. What's the trick? I remember watching the movie The Secret. Anybody watch the movie The Secret, the documentary? I watched it. It had to be in 2004, maybe 2005. And it changed my life. I cried because I realized how powerful of a manifestor I was. I realized how much I had manifested in my life. Then I also cried because I realized of all the drama that I had manifested in my life as well. And so, but I will tell you, they said in the book and in the movie, what stands out, just being gratitude, right? I was like, oh my God, that's the secret. Just be in gratitude, and I will manifest all of my dreams, all of my the things I really truly want. So every day I'm like, I'm thankful for this in my life. I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful. It was like just running down a list, right? There is no magic bullet. There isn't this big aha moment. It's a continuous journey of elevation, a continuous journey of expansion. And to have this continuous journey, you have to go from a wisher and a hoper, and you have to have the courage to move on. And maybe you do, and you go into what's I call dabbling and do it yourself, where you take this course over here, that course over there. When the next shiny penny, you're like, oh, this feels good. Let me try that. Oh no, I don't like what she's saying. Let me go over here. And you leave just as fast as you get started. And you know what's really like something I want you to gain awareness around, if that's you, is the moment you decide and move away from something that you committed to, that's your ego. So I had a friend reach out to me Tuesday or Wednesday. She lives in Arizona. She's a chiropractor. She reached out to me. She's like, Brenda, I've always built my business ground up. She lived in New Jersey, and now she's in Arizona and looking to build her practice in a big way. And she's like, I've always built my business to 6 figures on my own. Never had to do marketing, telling me all the stuff. She goes, but I'm feeling called to work with someone, a marketing company, to just kind of ramp up my business and get the momentum building. And I said to her, you know what? You always follow your heart. If it feels right in your heart, you do it. The money, she's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to get my return on investment. And I said, if you fully believe in your heart that this is where you're meant to go, it will always lead you in the right direction. Whether you get your return on investment in that program or the next one or whatever, will just come out. And I said, everything works. Everything works. You can find someone to build you a sales funnel. You can find someone to write your content. You can find a business, whatever. You can read my method. You can find somebody else's method. You can go to somebody else's method. They all work. It's the one that pulls at your heart. That's the one you follow. It's the one that says yes. And here's the other thing. You are the missing piece. So you get to have the courage to step up and be, I'm ready. I'm all in no matter what. Because if you don't, you'll stay dabbling and doing it yourself. I promise you that's the case. So all of the clients and everybody I've worked with all come down to looking at what are the beliefs you tell yourself. What are your beliefs that you tell yourself? Do you tell yourself that this could work, that there are possibilities, that I can figure things out, that I'm capable? Or are you telling yourself, oh, timing's not right, I got too much on my plate, this isn't it? And I'm talking about anything in general. I can't lose weight, we talked a little bit about this, right? I encourage you to follow your heart. And so let's continue to talk about how your daily self-talk impacts your life, your vibration, and what you're pulling in. So I'm going to give you lots of resources today to help you out no matter where you are in your life. And I promise you, if you take what I share with you today, you will begin to see shifts in your life. So you've learned how to tune in, you learned how to identify some of your emotions and redirect your emotions and your old patterns by using your coping mechanism, by interrupting your coping mechanism with that silly word and silly noise. Anybody using that? Yes? Thumbs up? Yeah, awesome! Yay! Put into action, cause why? Transformation equals knowledge plus action. Yes. So I'm glad. That makes me happy. You're actually putting things into practice. So I was sharing yesterday that your mind is programmed for what's wrong. What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this? Why can't I figure this out? What's the, always looking for the problem. So and when it's programmed like this, when it's programmed like this, you got to look at, there's self-talk is developed from that way of thinking. And so you have to, from an experience that you had, like, so, if I look back at my experience where my uncle chose me, I was the chosen one. And, I developed self-talk from that experience. One was I never wanted to be pretty. I would tell myself I never wanted to stand out. Those were things that would go on. What would happen if I spoke up? Because he told me if I spoke up, I'll destroy our family, right? Like, so these are things so it's not okay to speak up, because if you speak up, you're going to hurt people you love. That was the story. That was the self-talk I started to develop, right? So your self-talk is already programmed. 55% of your belief systems were developed before the age of 5. 55%. And I had amazing parents. I still do. They're both married. They're celebrating almost 51 years married. I can't say that I came from a terrible home. What I did have was experiences outside of my parents that led me to have a really rough childhood. Right? So your self-talk comes from these beliefs that have been implanted from experiences that you've had. So you want to raise your awareness around these areas. Do you know what a belief is? A belief, somebody write the word belief in the chat. Belief. Yeah, what word do you see within the word belief? Lie. A belief is a lie that you tell yourself, and you can have empowering beliefs right? And tell yourself our reality is based on our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So you can talk yourself into reality, a new reality, right? So it's a lie that you tell yourself. So you've been telling yourself a bunch of lies that's not supporting you. But you believe it to be true. And then evidence shows up in your life to prove that it is true. We have the thought, we have the belief, we have the feeling, we have the emotion. The experience shows up to solidify, to show that this is our truth. This is our reality. It's quite the opposite. We get to look at the self-talk, the feelings, and the emotion, reprogram it, so then the outside reality shows up as something different. Make sense? So today we're going to talk about looking at shifting 3 areas of your life. 3 areas of your life. And your perspectives and your beliefs are based upon your experiences, and it doesn't matter. And you know, just think of this. Someone wrote me a message and we were going back and forth, and I was just like, there's never going to be an absolute, because we all have our own frame of reference. We all have our own way of interpreting something, right? So if we're looking at an experience or something that happened, I was raised with an older sister, younger brother. We've had the same parents. They've been married the whole entire time. They've lived together the whole entire time. We were raised as one, like one unit, right? But my sister, my brother, and myself have completely different ways of thinking, you know, different experiences, different belief systems, different perspectives on life, because of the way that our brain takes something in and it processes it and comes out. Each one of you is hearing something different. Each one of you is experiencing this class through your frame of reference, through what you're experiencing, from your past experiences. So we want to look at 3 areas to look at. And I remember I was in a church, and so in my late 20s, early 20s, I was looking for help, right? So I started searching all different religions. I grew up Catholic, and it wasn't giving me where I wanted to go. So I started to look at all these different religions and different things, not just religions, but different, I'll say congregations that I thought might have support. And I remember going to a church. Loved this church, changed my life, helped me with another baby step. Remember I said there's just baby steps that put you on the path. And she was like, well, when you're feeling sad or low frequency, just think of a happy thought to raise your vibrational standpoint. Abraham Hicks says this all the time, if you follow Abraham Hicks. And I just thought to myself, but when we're unhappy, that's really, when I'm unhappy, this is in the past, when I'm unhappy, that's really challenging to do. Anybody agree? If something has you unhappy, it's really challenging to do, right? So it's not just our thoughts we get to shift. There's 3 areas to master. 3 areas to master your energy, your field, your vibration. So yes, you can think of a happy thought, and I do have a happy thought, but it does, like I think of my kids in Curious George, yellow monkey rain boots, in their underwear, splashing around in the puddles. That's my happy thought. They were little. They were like 5, 3, and 2, right? So they were tiny. They were fun, and I can go to that place, and it will make me happy. But if I'm really triggered and I got a lot of energy going on, that's a really challenging task. Anybody agree? Yeah, so that's not going to necessarily work. I can't just go. I think Abraham Hicks uses the metaphor, like, go pet your cat. Like, go find something that makes you feel happy. And it does come down to a choice, but I always believe there's many tools in the world that we get to use to determine what works for us. So 3 areas to master. So the first area to look at, the first area to look at, the first area to shift. I want you to think of this. This is the easiest, fastest way to shift your energy. And that is to move your body in a different pattern than it's currently moving. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, if you're upset, your body is tight and restricting, right? So move your body, just start to open it up. I had you moving your bodies, breathing, letting go, standing up, sitting down, right? Taking deep breaths. That's all shifting your body. Just breathing is shifting your body. So I'm not talking about exercise, like go run a mile or something. I'm talking literally notice what your body's doing in the unresourceful state and shift it. Let me give you an example here. When you're in an when someone is depressed, everybody right now who's here and participating and not a bystander, right? Put yourself in what we call a depressed state. So I think depression is a choice. We have a choice to feel better. We have a choice to look at things different. I'm not saying it isn't real. It became a reality due to your thoughts. So I'm not downplaying it, but it's a choice we get to make. Everything in life is a choice. So when someone's depressed, how do they look? Like this. And there's no, that's called an unresourceful state. There is no way to feel good when your body is in that position. That's why when someone is depressed or used to being tight, when you go into that empowerment stance that I was sharing with you, have you guys been using that, the empowerment stance? So when you go into that could be so uncomfortable because your muscles are literally so used to being pulled forward, like crunched in, crunched up. But you could use the empowerment stance to move your body. Do you know when you smile, you release endorphins? Endorphins are the things that make you happy. But when you're miserable, do you want to smile? It's actually kind of hard to smile, right? Unless you're the sarcastic one, where you make jokes, and you know, instead of feeling the feelings, you make the jokes to kind of overcome the pain that you're in. You can simply put I don't know where my pen is. I have a pencil. You can simply put a pen in your mouth and do that. That actually does the same thing as smiling. I don't suggest a pencil because if you're angry, you can bite the pencil. And listen, if you have some things around germs, you get to find a clean pen that feels good. So, but it does shift. In fact, 2 years ago, my friend's son did a study if smiling and holding the pen in your mouth does the same thing. And the study showed, I mean, he was in 6th grade, but I've learned this tool way before that. The study showed that it does. So your body, I always say, is your biggest messenger, right? Tuning in. You can, use the chakras to become super aware of what your body's telling you. But if you're unresourceful, like when I get a lot of energy, because I pick up all of all your energy has been with me all week, and so I have to find a way to release that. So I release that through being outside and literally swooshing the energy around. I release it through movement, exercise, walking, salt baths. But that is what I call an activity, right? But we don't need to do that. You just need to shift your body. I was doing a puzzle. So my youngest son has a hard time sitting still. He's just a very bouncy boy. He's 11, still loves to bounce around, and his attention span isn't very long. So one day we were sitting doing puzzles. I believe this was during COVID, so 3 years ago, which would make him 7. And we're doing a bunch of floor puzzles, and he's doing all the puzzles, and he gets down to the last puzzle, and he has 3 pieces left, and he is getting so angry because he cannot figure out where these last 3 puzzles. I mean, he must have did 10 puzzles, right? All 50-piece puzzles. He sat there for hours. I couldn't even believe it. And so I said, go run up and down the steps and come back. And he's like, why? I'm like, just go do it. So he ran up and down the steps, came back, and he was like, boom, boom, boom. Popped them all in. He was like, Mom, I did it. He just needed to move the energy. There was nothing special about what he did with his body. He just moved it. So don't overthink this, my overthinkers here. It's really just a simple process. If your body is tight, one of the best things I do when I'm angry, because when you're angry, your body contracts, right? Everybody agree with that? You all tighten up. I literally lay like a starfish on my floor, open like this. You cannot be angry when your body's open. Your body is your anger is a constricting emotion. It's a tightening emotion. So when you do this, it's just like, oh, okay, I can release that. I can let that go. Right? So your body, mastering your body, moving your body, moving your body, moving your body. It could just be a smile. It could just be rolling your shoulders back. It could be a deep breath in. Everybody for right now, for just like a little test. Everybody take your shoulders forward, up, and back. And as you come here, just close your eyes and just notice the feeling that comes from this space. Maybe it's an easier breath. Maybe just feel stronger. Just whatever your experience is. Now do the opposite. Put them up, forward, hunch over. Notice. And then shake it out. Whew! Shake it out. What did you notice just by those simple movements? What did you notice? Close. Breathing was different. Yes. Relax. Your belly felt better when you went up and out. Nice. Yeah, because it opens it up, actually. That makes sense. But someone who's holding on to a lot, doing that can make them actually feel very vulnerable, right? Because now everything is open. People can see them. So if you had that experience, that's normal too, because you're so used to covering things up, right? Okay, so you guys got body? Beautiful. The next area, so we were talking about self-talk, right? Your body talks to you all the time, so listen to your body. The next area is your language and the communication. You really want to look at, what are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to others? Do you ever notice in a certain group of people you start complaining? Or you feed into the gossip? Or you don't know what to say, so you just bring up a bunch of BS? Or do you ever notice when you're with people that are up leveled that your thought processes, your feelings are different? I bet you have all thought of different possibilities being in this energy all week. Right? Different feelings, different emotions than you've had in the past. So look at, what are you saying to yourself on the daily? Quietly, or out loud. Sometimes we don't realize what we're saying to ourselves until we actually hear ourselves saying it to somebody else. Right? So your people closest to you, if you have children, a spouse, a sister, a brother, a mother, the people close to you are such great tools. Utilize them. Listen to what you say to them. Because the experience is never about them. It's about who? Yourself. Yes. So listen to the words you're saying. If you're saying, you're not listening to me, 3 fingers are pointing back to you. Who's not listening to you? Who? You're not listening to yourself. If you say, you don't care about me because you never helped me out, when was the last time you helped yourself out? Right? So being super aware of what you're saying to yourself and what you're saying to others. What are you saying to about healing? Or like tune in. Like, what are you saying about investing in yourself? What are you saying about healing? What are you saying about um, moving forward or not moving forward? Are you saying, is something going to help you? Is it not going to help you? Can I spend money when my family needs money? How do I justify investing in myself? Do I deserve to heal? I used to say all those things, by the way. I'm not smart enough. I'll never be skinny enough. I'm not capable of making money. Moms aren't supposed to work. That was a big one. I had so many judgments around working moms. It's horrible. I'm not pretty enough. I never had enough time. So just take a moment and write down, what is it that you're saying to yourself or to others. Maybe it's like generalization. People are mean. Nobody cares about me. I do for everybody else, but nobody does for me. Notice what you're saying, and then just shift them. You know, sometimes we think that we have to go through all this big work to change it. No, it's just noticing and choosing a different thought, a different feeling. So whatever you wrote down, rewrite them in a positive way. Like, I am able to create happiness. I am awesome. I am allowed to grieve. I am allowed to be myself. I am allowed to invest in myself. I am allowed to share my emotions and express my emotions. I am able to feel safe in my body. Did everybody rewrite theirs? Awesome. Awesome. So you get to continue that process of tuning into what you're saying to others, tuning into what you're saying about a choice. Think of the last time you made a decision. What were the thoughts going through your mind? And when you look at that, you get to look at, what were the thoughts going through my mind? Were they empowering or were they limiting? So as you make decisions, look at it. I find like you get to tune in. Think about money. What are your stories around money? Or time, or health, or well-being. There's a great tool. We're not going to go over it today. It's called the Wheel of Life. You can Google it. It gives you a way to look at all different areas of your life, and then you can look at these different areas and just start to tune into, what do you say about yourself in these areas. Okay, so really paying attention to your words. Really paying attention. And notice when you're saying words, if it's a contracting feeling or an expansive feeling. Like, I don't like the word hard. I don't want my life to be hard. It contracts me. I want to be easy, free, flowy, whatever. So I listen to any time I hear that word come out of my mouth. I'm like, cancel, cancel, cancel. It's easy. It's getting easier and easier every single day. Right? We want to start listening and shifting, listening and shifting, listening and shifting. And the last area is, what do you focus on? What you focus on grows. Are you focusing on the problem, or are you focusing on the possibilities? Are you focusing on what could be? I always say, if you're going to play the what if game, play it in a way that feels good. Not, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? What if it doesn't work out? Why don't you play like, what if this is the best decision I've ever made in my life? What if now is the perfect time for me to move on? What if now is the answer? What if, like, why play the what if game in the negative way? Play it in the positive way. Because here's the truth. Whatever you decide it is, will be. Whatever you put energy into is what you will create. So I would say if you want to create good, play the what if game in a big way. What if this decision is the next best step for me to live my best life? Or whatever it is. Right? So I want to share with you that there is I'll just share with you really briefly. So what I want to share with you, there's a way when we are stressed or in a low frequency energy like anger, frustration, overwhelmed, stressed, we actually go into questioning. Our body will go into what's wrong, what's the problem, how do I fix this, why can't I fix this. Just think of the last time you were stressed, and then just think of the questions or thoughts that came to your mind. It's like and just drop them in the chat. What was it? What if I can't make the payments? Yeah. So that is going to lead you to all negative feelings and emotions. So if we use a question, I always say let's ask empowering questions. And empowering questions, you have the answers. You always have, you always will, and you will find solutions for your answers if you ask questions that lead to solutions. If you ask questions that lead to problems, guess what you'll find? Problems. Right? So if we look at Chanita's question is, what if I can't make the payments? What if I was able to make the payments and more? What if this became easy for me? What if there was possibilities to create income that I didn't even know was possible? You want to hear an incredible story? I think this woman is one of the most resourceful women I ever met. She's not in my program, nor do I recommend this. I don't recommend it. I don't not recommend it. This was just a story that I'm talking about being impossibilities, right? She went through a really like toxic divorce, and she was living in a really big home, and she wanted to keep the home so the kids felt safe. And so she was just like, how am I going to keep the home, pay for the home, keep them in their programs that they're all in so that the kids aren't being affected by the divorce, right? So what she did was she found a way to increase her income in a way that I would have never even thought about, never did think about. I met her in the summertime. This in July. I met her in July. She said, I donate plasma twice a week, and I make about $800 extra a month. She didn't live in that, like, what if I can't afford to put my kids in their program? She said, what do I get to do to make this happen? What do I get to do to make, what do I get to do? What do I get to shift in my life so that my kids can still be here? She still shows up at all their games. She's still 100% present. So she asked the question, what do I get to do to take care of myself and my family and still be present, still be there for my kids, not like work 1,000 hours and not be, right? So there's always possibilities when like she wanted that for her kids more than she wanted anything else. So the answer wasn't what if I couldn't, it's what can I do? What are my possibilities? What do I get to look at? I didn't know her doing her decision making process, but she would have never found a solution if she wasn't looking for a solution. Solutions are everywhere. Is how do we look at the solution? How do we find the solution? And we don't find it by asking this. We find it by asking empowering questions. So there's 3 components of an empowering question. And they start with what or how. They always say in this moment, because the brain will give you an answer if you ask it to give you the answer in this moment. Right? And then there's a phrase in there that we use that puts us into an abundant phrase that makes the question come out like we're already assuming we have the answer. And it's even more. So how can I create even more money in this moment right now? How can I feel better in this moment? How can I feel even better in this moment right now? What can I do right now to elevate my energy even more? So I do want to share with you somebody that was put all these tools into practice, but she started where you were, and she was scared of how making everything is possible. She was a nervous Nelly. She was hiding her gifts. She was hiding who she was, and she took the leap of faith. She had courage and decided to follow her heart, even though she wasn't clear. You'll hear this, but now she's lost 30 pounds, living her best life. She's promoting herself. She's became certified in healing dance. I shared a little bit about her yesterday, but I would love to share her story with you. As you are making your way to that life that you truly want. And I wanted to share with you someone that to share with her some of the things that she's doing now, just so you can see what's possible. Hey there.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome. First, Cheryl, thank you so much for being here and sharing you and your story. I really, really appreciate it. You know, I think it's one thing to make a commitment to yourself and really do the work, and it's another to share your experience with others. So thank you, and realize that this is also a growth for you as well. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm honored to be here.
So, you know, when you went through this 4-day challenge, what part of you realized that you know what, I'm going to put that application in? I do.
Well, when I went through,
I want to say this back. I used to make people apply. So if you're hearing the application, don't worry about that. I don't do that anymore. But back then I did.
through the 4-day challenge, I was kind of at a point in my life where I was just like, something's got to happen. Something's got to give. And I learned so much in how to, like, some tools just by going through the 4-day challenge that had helped me in that short amount of time. Awesome. So I decided, let me put in this application and see where it goes.
And were you scared to apply?
I was very scared to apply. I didn't know what to expect at all.
Right. And so after doing the application, there was a phone part, you know, there's a form that you fill out, and then there's a phone conversation that happens with the application. And when we set up the phone call and we did the phone call, and I know this is going back a few months now, but what are some of the things that you remembered? I also want to just let you know, this interview was done after 10 weeks in Fear to Freedom. She was only part of the program for 10 weeks when she did this interview. That were like, just the phone call alone gave you, you know, perspective and awareness and insight.
Well, the one thing that I remember, I don't remember our whole conversation. I know we were on the phone for a while, but I felt very heard and seen by you just in that short amount of time. And you explained to me on the phone call that what the challenge that I was dealing with was learning how, like, what love is, how to be loved. And that kind of, it really struck a chord with me. And it was like, oh, like, yeah, this is something that I've been dealing with forever. I didn't know, like, I couldn't put my finger on like what the issue was.
Right. Well, I'm so glad you got that just in the conversation. And so through the conversation and through your decision-making process, were you scared? Like, speak into that a little bit, because I feel like that holds a lot of people back, right? Like they go through this challenge and they really get so excited, not just excited, they actually start to see change. And then it's like, oh, I got to take another step. Oh my gosh, you know what? I don't know if I could do that one. And it's okay wherever you're at, but like, how did you overcome that? You said you were scared to fill out the application. You were scared to have the conversation. How did you overcome that?
Well, I mean, for me, something in me, in my gut, was just like telling me to keep pushing forward, like keep pushing, just go through with it, see where it goes. And I was scared, like I was petrified of the price. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And part of me right away was like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do this for myself. And then all of a sudden I got like this feeling, and I was like, if I don't do this, then how am I ever going to move forward? And right then and there, I was like, I have to do this. I'll figure it out along the way.
Awesome. And with that commitment to yourself, with that following, that trusting, that inner guidance, that you know, your soul or your intuition or your gut, however you want to say it, by following that, how has your decision to take care of you, to step up and really put yourself first and to start to process and heal things and shift things, how has that impacted your life already?
Gosh. I mean, it's impacted it a lot. Not to say that I don't still, you know, doubt things, but I feel more like I can when the doubt comes up, I can let those things go and just know that I'm more trusting. I have more faith and trust in knowing that things are going to work out the way that they are meant to for me.
That's awesome. You know, to be able to step into that trusting, into that knowing, into that just, you know, some people call it surrender, just surrendering to the process of life. And prior, where was your thought process? Like, you know, you're saying you're trusting here and you have this sense of knowing and you're following your intuition, but where were you before you started? And I know you're only a few weeks in, maybe 13, not even quite 13 weeks in.
Almost,
into the program. Where, you know, where were you before?
I was like a frightened little girl. That's what it felt like. I was just scared that I was never going to see like the light of day, never going to get to a point where I felt like I was going to be able to move forward, or just get past all of the unhappiness, the stuckness. I felt hopeless.
From hopeless to trusting in less than 13 weeks. I mean, that's freaking amazing, I have to say. Pat yourself on the back for stepping up and doing the work. Yes, awesome. So I would like you to share to someone that's gone through the challenge and wanting to fill out that application but hasn't filled it out. What words of wisdom could you share with them from your perspective of being in their shoes just a few months ago?
Well, I would say that even if you're scared to go through the application process and the phone call, to feel the fear and do it anyway. Go through it, see what happens, see what comes up for you. Talk to Brenda, because even in that phone call, even if it's just a phone call and you don't move forward or whatever, you're going to receive so much healing in that alone. But really listen to your gut, listen to your heart and what it's telling you. Because fear is going to come up. It always does. It's trying to comfort you. It's ego. That's how I look at it. It's ego just coming up saying, I'm trying to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that gets in the way of your growth and your healing. And that's what was coming up for me. And if I didn't listen to that and if I didn't push past that, I would not be on the road that I'm in now. Yes, it's work, but it's worth it. The work is worth it. And I mean, just in less than 13 weeks, I feel like a totally different person. I still have more work to do, but the change in me is amazing in that short amount of time. So just go for it.
How amazing. You want to hear something even more amazing? She couldn't come to the live events for the first 13 weeks. She did all the recordings because she couldn't make the commitment live. But I want you to hear the theme of these women. Trust, listen to your heart, everything works out. These are their words. These are women that went through and took that step for themselves. Right? So to recap today, the 3 areas are to master, and we master these in the 6-month program. Your body, your communication, and what you focus on. All of that is super, super powerful. Those are things, there's layers, many layers to each of those components, but start there. Start on working through that, because that's going to shift you into a higher frequency, and the higher frequency attracts higher experiences, right? So those that have not enrolled, I'm going to encourage you to go to enroll.brendakiss.com, check out what Fear to Freedom is all about, book your call, and come join the party. Come put your tiara back on and be here. I did have planned for you one more segment to watch, because I feel like it is so important to be inspired. And so this last piece, it is 8 minutes long, so I know we're going long today. But it was an interview that my coach did with a bunch of girls in the program. And I just thought it would be really cool to hear from them what it's like after you make the decision to say yes, and what their experience has been. So just give me a second to pull that up for you. And maybe I'll just play like 5 minutes instead of the whole 8.
Christine, let's start with you.
Well, like I said, I live in the middle of nowhere, and there's not a lot of friends up here. So this is the human interaction I was craving. And I absolutely feel so accepted and so welcomed and so warmth just from everyone. We want to help each other. We want to hear your problems. We want to help you with your problems. We want to be able to feel safe expressing our own problems. And that was what I just was craving, was being able to talk to different people about different things on any different day. And you don't get that along with the respect and also honoring each other's feelings. And this was a safe place where I felt like people honored each other, and in a sacred, our feelings are sacred here. And that's what I felt like. Mm-hmm. And that's why I will always feel like this is just something you don't get every day. And that was pretty magical. Even amongst other groups I've been in, this one, it's you can feel it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing. I couldn't agree more. Alexis, how's it been for you having a sisterhood?
Honestly, it's been scary and intimidating at first. For this to be so new, especially people who want to support my growth and want to support, my healing. It's not something I was used to. So there was a lot of resistance at first because it's scary, but I do love the connections, seeing other people connect. As Christine said, able to share a problem, and it's met with solution. It's met with options. It's not met with that same vibration of the problem. It's met with raised vibration to get you to come up so that you can see the solution and the answer within you. So again, at first it was scary and intimidating, but I actually like it. It's what we need.
Yes, yes. I would like to say, in a way, it's become a tool.
Yeah.
Knowing that you have a community to reach out to without judgment, and to give yourself a voice. For me, it's become a tool, and you're all saying yes, so I know it's become one for you as well. Isabel, how about for you? What is having the sisterhood like?
I'd like to compare it to another program that I was in. We had 525 members of our group. Okay, so we all came on, and there were 17 pages of Zooms of people that I could potentially meet, narrowing it down to who would be in. What we used to do is break up into pods. So we had 6 people in a pod. Knowing that anonymity was there. They were people who wanted to be my friends on Facebook, but I knew nothing about them. In this, we all know who each other are. We know our stories from as we all drop into the lives. And the other part that's very different about this in the sisterhood, having all of these people who check in on me and say, how are you doing? Or I find out about somebody's dog being sick, and we check in on each other. We're constantly doing these things. But the other part about it is that Brenda knows who we are. She knows our stories. If we ran into her in a supermarket, she would know who we were. We would say, hey, Brenda, what are you doing here? But we're not anonymous. We are not, she is not some person way out there that has a Facebook page or an Instagram page that is speaking into the void. She's speaking to us. And that's the that I do appreciate with the sisterhood, is that we truly are a part of that. And there are people that she might reach out to who need more help than others. But what happens is we all pile on.
So I'm going to give you an opportunity. I'm going to play that interview in its entirety throughout the weekend. And they answer questions like, how is Fear to Freedom different? What it's been like before they started? How did they move through their resistance to say yes to themselves? So there'll be different parts that play through the weekend. I invite you to be in the Facebook group, checking everything out. If you're not in Facebook, go to my YouTube channel and check out everything there. But it's incredible to just see how these women have focused on the 3 areas and what they're creating and what they've done in their life. So I invite you, if you haven't, to go to enroll.brendakiss.com. For those that have, I'm super excited to speak with you. Can't wait. And, this is a limited time offer, and I don't want to feel like it's pushed, but it is. We can only enroll so many people at one given time. So the universe says love speed. So take the action. Action plus knowledge equals transformation. So I will see you girls in the Facebook Live tomorrow. This is our last Zoom meeting. I loved each and every one of you, meeting each and every one of you, and I can't wait to see your growth. Stay connected, stay plugged in, and the live tomorrow is at 11 a.m. Eastern. Thank you. And then there's going to be a bunch of stuff playing throughout, but that's where I'll be live tomorrow. All right. VIPs, stay on. Everybody else, have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to what's next for you.